This video is brought to you by Gladiator Concealment and S4 Tactical Gear. Links are in the description box below. What's up guys, it's Michael and Kyle with AKM Tactical. Appreciate y'all watching. We want to talk a little bit about dry fire practice. Dry fire practice is one of those things that if you're not doing it, you're not going to be a better shooter. Hands down. I mean, we can sit here and we can go over the pros and the cons. There's no cons. Yeah. Like, if you're not doing it, you're not going to be a better shooter.
It's free.
It's free. It is low cost. Costs you nothing but what you probably already have is a gun. You should have a gun. I don't know why you're watching this if you don't. But anyways, all it costs you is a gun and a little time. That's it. So we want to kind of talk about it a little bit, dive into it, and then we're going to actually show you kind of what we do, and that'll be it, man. But dry fire practice.
Safety.
Safety. Absolutely. First of all, little tip for you: put your mags and your ammo, all that, in another room.
Yeah.
That's like, if you do that, it's guaranteed that you're going to be safe. Make sure your gun's empty, you know, the whole spiel. Put your mags and ammo in another room. If you want to use snap caps, something like that, dummy rounds, that's cool. You know, if you want to work reloads, that kind of thing, you should. You know, you should. And you do that dry. Make sure that you've got the right mags for that. Make sure that you're using dummy rounds. Put all your live stuff somewhere else. Another room. Another thing, another tip. If you're gonna do dry fire practice, put all your gear on. Don't take your gun. I mean, you can, but put all your gear on. Get some reps coming in and out of your holster. You know, draw from concealment, that kind of thing. You know, practice all that kind of stuff. Maybe move your feet some. You know, all that good stuff. Do it all, man. Get it all in there. You know, that's just good stuff, and it will translate later on when you're practicing live. You'll see the difference. You'll see your draw stroke improved. You'll see that your times, if you're timing yourself, you'll see your times are faster. And when you're dry firing that trigger, you will definitely see that on paper. You'll see the difference on paper when you're running your whatever your drills, your dot torture, your whatever you're doing. You'll see the benefits from dry practice. How often do you dry fire?
A few times a week.
Yeah, that's me. I try to dry fire 2 or 3 times a week. I would love to do it every day, and I could probably do it every day, but you know, life's busy. You know, when we get in when we get in. It's
for me, like, I'm kind of guilty of not, you know, taking it as serious as far as, you know, going from a holster and stuff. I mean, I do reps from a holster, but a lot of times, guys, I will, you know, maybe I'm, you know, maybe I don't know, I don't have anything to do. Maybe I'm up. I'll, you know, clear my gun in the room, go to the living room where I don't have any rounds or anything, and I'll just sit and, you know, point my gun out there. You know, one of the things that you need to get used to that helps with dry fire is just acquiring your sights.
Yep.
Acquiring that sight picture. So, you know, if you're coming from the holster, you know, you want to start staging that trigger, and here you should be on your front sight, and if you needed to press off around here, you should be able to. That's something you want to work on. But also, one thing that I like to work on is just feeling that trigger. You know, feeling that wall, press, 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 and then feeling it, you know, click. And, you know, I'll work the reset as well. Let it reset there, and then press again.
Yep.
And one cool thing that you can do is you can take a penny or a couple pennies and stack it there on your front sight, and see if you can squeeze off that round without, you know, dropping that pin. You should be able to. If you've got control of that gun and you've got, you know, good trigger control, it shouldn't move.
Yep. And guys, I'm not saying, you know, put all your gear on every single time. That's not a bad idea. There are times when I'm just like sitting watching TV, you know, I'm here by myself or whatever. I'm sitting watching TV and I will just kind of dry fire. I'll pick out a little spot on the wall or whatever, you know. I might even dry fire at the TV, you know, whatever. You know, I find something that I can aim at and I will just practice, you know, coming up, getting my sights, and pressing my trigger. You know, dry fire is just one of those things that, like we said, it doesn't cost you anything, and you will do a lot more dry than you will live. Yeah,
you should do, you know, 5 to 1 really.
Well, you'll learn a lot more dry.
Yeah.
You know, you will become. That's how you become a better shooter.
And it's about reps, guys. You know, when we talk about going from the holster, you need to make every rep perfect. You need to work at it until you perfect it.
Yep.
So, you know, that's getting your garment out of the way. That's the initial grip that you build on the gun. That's your draw stroke.
Yep.
That's acquiring the sights. That's that first press. I mean, you want all of that to be, you know, the exact same and efficient every single time.
We did a video about muscle memory here a while back, and that's what we're talking about. That, you know, the same motion for clearing that cover garment, the same motion for your draw stroke, the same trigger discipline, whether it's a double or a single or, you know, a striker fired, you know, but that same muscle memory of doing the same thing every single time. Shooting reset, trigger reset, that should just be second nature to you. Aligning the sights, that's just the same every time, and that's what we're talking about. Building that muscle memory where you do that the same every time.
And I think people normally think of dry fire as just trigger control, trigger discipline. But
and a lot of it is, but it's so much more than that.
It's more than that. You know, you can work your reloads.
Yep.
I think if you work your reloads, you need to do it over carpet or like a rug or something, so you're not just banging the crap out of your floor and the mag.
Yeah.
But you know, you can work your reloads. You want your gun here in your workspace. You can drop the mag. You know.
Yep.
And you can do it all. Now, if you're gonna work your reload and you want your slide to go home, then you're gonna have to, you know, do it with some dummy rounds.
Yep.
But it can be done, and it's 100% free and 100% beneficial.
You can buy a box. If you go to Glock's website, you can buy a box of 50 of those orange dummy rounds for like $20.
Yeah, and that's what they used at Tac Response, and that's super cheap.
Those are super cheap. They are perishable. You will have to replace them eventually, but they're great for like working reloads and stuff like that, because you can just put several in the magazine, you know, and do your thing.
Yeah.
They're great for all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But dry fire practice, guys, that's where it's at. You want to be a better shooter, you want to be safer, that's where it's at. That's how you do it.
A lot of dudes want to be better shooters, but they don't want to put in the time.
That's how you do it.
And that's the easiest, cheapest way to do it. It's the best way to do it. I don't care if you're on a budget or not, which I mean everybody's on a budget, but I don't care what your budget is.
Yep.
You can be a better shooter just by, you know. And I was listening to a Prac Tac podcast the other day, and Jeff posed a good question. He's like, who's more dangerous? The guy that shot 1,000 rounds at a class 3 weeks ago, or the guy that did 300 reps draw strokes last night?
Yeah.
And it's the 300 draw strokes last night guy.
Yep.
That's the guy that's going to be quicker on the gun. Who's going to be, you know, better. So
yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get set up, and when we come right back, we'll show you kind of some of the stuff we do. So stay tuned, guys.
All right, guys. So first off, you know, I just want to verify that this gun is not loaded. Visually and physically check the chamber. There's no mag in the gun. Michael is not on the other side of the camera. I do not have a magazine in my mag pouch. It is nowhere near this. Reluctantly reholster. and I'm just going to walk you through just, you know, my draw, how I do dry fire practice at the house. So first thing I do is, you know, we use commands, verbal commands, to get somebody to stop doing what they're doing before we have to shoot them, in my opinion. Now, you should probably see, you know, go see formal training, but this is how we were taught, and this is something that we do on our draw. So, I usually say stop, I'll take a step, I'll get this garment up and out of the way, hand goes down to the gun, I'm going to pick up the gun, pull it out of the holster, my hands are going to meet here, I'll start pressing out, and about here is where I should be on my sight. So I can start pressing that trigger, and you can squeeze off a shot here if you want, but you can also, you know, I would say, I don't know if I ever come to full extension before I press off a shot on the first one, but you know, probably about here is where I normally press off a shot. Reluctantly back to the holster. That's another thing you guys should practice too, especially if you go from the appendix, really anywhere, is slowly reholstering. There's no point in rushing that. No good has ever come of somebody reholstering their gun quickly. If you're in a situation where you have to drop the gun, throw it on the ground. Alright guys, so we're going to go over it one more time. I like to start with my hands here. You can start with your hands by your side. Some drills will require you to have your hands at your side. Some will be in a, you know, defensive posture. I like having them here. You can kind of protect your face, and it's quick to go, you know, to the gun. So what I would do is say stop, hand on the gun, draw, press out. Okay? Reluctantly back to the holster. So, kind of half speed. Stop! Just like that. At which point, you know, you can squeeze off around or you cannot. It just depends on what you want to practice. If you want to practice that first shot, then you can go ahead and do that. But I would probably recommend before anything is getting that gun out and acquiring that sight picture as fast as you can. You know, that's the thing that I probably work on the most. And then, you know, of course, get you a dry fire squeeze in. So here we go. Stop. All right, slowly back to the holster. One more time. Stop. And of course, I'm moving the same way every time. You know, practice moving to the right, to the left. If you want to move behind cover, do that. You're probably restricted in your own home, but there's no reason why you can't do this in your yard or at the range if you're not, you know, at a public range. If you're at, you know, a private range or you're at your house, you can do that in the yard. You can go get behind cover. You can move. You can dry fire on the move. You can do anything you want. It's, you know, it's limitless. You're not putting rounds down range. It's safe as long as you take the safety precautions before you start. So, anyways, that's all I got, guys.
All right, guys. So that was just a few little tips, some illustrations on how he does it. I pretty much do the same thing. I will sit and just kind of get my trigger presses in, and you know, my sight picture, sight alignment, all that kind of stuff. One thing that we didn't really mention, but I think is super important in dry practice, is when you draw that gun, making sure that you establish that grip, the right grip,
initial grip,
every single time. The more dry practice you get of getting that grip, the more naturally you're just going to get that grip every time. Because if you don't have a good grip, you know that.
And another thing about that, about drawing and acquiring the sights and all that, whenever you mess up, whenever your grip's not just right, whenever you move too fast to acquire your sight, slow down.
Yep.
It's just like at the range. Like when we're shooting, you know, we kind of, a lot of times we'll shoot at a cadence, you know, and boom, boom, boom. And if that's too fast, if we're missing shots,
slow down.
Boom, boom.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
make it count.
Yeah, make your reps count, and over time, speed will come.
Yeah. Something else is handling the gun the same every time. You know, I talk about grip, but I'm not just talking about grip. I'm talking about in the way you handle the gun, the way you pick the gun up, the way you draw it from the holster, the way you press out, the way you come up and check your surroundings. Do that. the same every time, every single time. Some people call it handling the gun in a martial manner. Just handle that gun the same every single time. That's a good way to keep yourself good way to keep yourself in check, to make sure that you're always safe. Well, yeah, and to make sure that you're always ready and prepared, but you're always safe too. You're handling the gun the same every single time, you know, with purpose, and you're just, that's how you're going to handle it. But you know, the thing about dry practice is like he said, there's nothing that you can't practice. You can practice, if you want to practice active retention, if you want to practice from different positions, if you want to, whatever your thing is, you can want to draw
laying on the ground.
Yeah, you can do it dry. And if you want to get into all that kind of stuff and you're a little nervous doing that with a live gun that's unloaded, get a blue gun.
Yeah.
Get a blue gun and practice drawing, practice all that kind of stuff, and you are 100% safe. Now, you can't get your trigger manipulation, but you can do everything else with a blue gun.
Or you can get a sim gun.
Or you can get a sim gun. You can get a SIRT pistol or something like that. You know, those things.
SIRT pistols are expensive, but they're pretty freaking awesome.
They're pretty awesome. Yeah, I want one. But anyways, you got anything else, man?
No. One word of caution though is that, and I was thinking about this. You know, I would press out when I was doing it. I'd break the shot, and then I would, you know, reset it, and then go back to the holster. With all this, make sure that you do go to the range, and that you do draw from concealment at the range,
yep.
And that you do, you know, rack off several rounds,
yep.
And that you change it up, because I would really hate to, you know, see somebody get into a gunfight and draw the gun, shoot one time, and then rack the slot. You know, because you're gonna do what you do at home. I mean, there's horror stories of cops that, you know, have built up bad habits at the range,
yep.
and perform them in a gunfight. So you're gonna do in a gunfight when, you know, your adrenaline's pumping, you're not able to really, you know, really think. You're gonna do whatever you're accustomed to doing. So make sure that you do spend time at the range,
yep.
Drawing, shooting multiple times, not just once, not just 3 times. Even, guys, sometimes we even empty the magazine on a single run, just because you just don't know what it's going to take to stop that threat.
Yeah,
so,
you don't know what your fight's going to be.
Yeah, so make sure you incorporate that, a word to the wise. Don't just dry fire practice.
Do it all.
Yeah.
Do it all. But dry fire will make you a better shooter.
Yes,
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. It'll make you a better shooter and a safer shooter. So
and it'll make you faster.
And it will make you faster. So get those dry reps in, guys. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section below. You can always jump over to the Facebook page. We always get into a more in-depth conversation there. We will leave links to all of our social media outlets, akmtactical.com, and our sponsors in the description box below. But we appreciate y'all watching. Y'all be safe.